There are 6 Winchester guards. They stand in formation, ready, rifles in hand, inside an elevator. One of the number in the front gives the others a nod. It's Kurt. And it means activate your goggles. The soldiers pull them over their eyes, and with a flick of a switch, they turn green. The doors open to a vast warehouse filled with people, heavy machinery and vehicles, and surveillance equipment. They march out in formation and stand. One of their number turns to give them an order. A jeep explodes on the far side of the warehouse, and then a second one goes up in flames. The sound is deafening, reverberating through this massive stone building. Alarms are instantly triggered. And the base is in an explosion of activity and movement. Donncha, your handiwork has seen to 2 of these jeeps that have now become burning wreckages, casting strange lights all throughout this warehouse. You were hidden and ducked away somewhere. Tell me what you're doing and what is running through your mind.
So Donncha has climbed underneath one of the other jeeps and is literally hanging on upside down under that jeep, one of the other cars here. He's listening. His eyes are closed, and he's using his predatory senses to listen and smell people approaching. And he's going to try and set up this jeep, which is next to the others, to explode as well, but on a sort of delay. When people start to walk by, he's going to light it, and then he's going to walk. Run, I suppose, in the hopes that he can kill a bunch of these fucks with a third explosion. And once that happens, he's going to run deeper into the facility.
Excellent. So what I'd like you to do then, first of all, Donncha, because these individuals are on high alert and because other reasons I'm not going to tell you, I would like you to make a stealth roll, please, whilst you do so.
Sir, happily. Okay. So 2 10s in there. 7.
Perfect. Yeah. Tell me what it's like as you steal your way through the warehouse, evading, rushing people from all directions.
So he's been careful to choose this Jeep because it's got the fuel entry on the opposite side to where the other Jeeps are. And so he's clinging underneath it, and he's listening for the footsteps and the quiet sort of of their radios. And when he hears them get a little bit closer, he'll climb out on the side and put a third piece of ragged cloth in there and light it. And like a fuse, he'll see it start to catch, and then he will vanish quickly through the facility. You had mentioned before that there's a computer area at the back there somewhere that was well lit, and also a lift. So he's going in that direction. He doesn't want to go anywhere that's well lit. He's trying to keep to places where you wouldn't ordinarily look for a person. So because of his Nosferatu-esque abilities, he would be climbing on walls and on the floor and basically keeping to places where even if you were looking for somebody, you wouldn't ordinarily look for a person.
Perfect. And as your shadowy shape sort of darts and like a shadow, you slither past the walls, windows, and obstacles to get to your location. Our vision moves outside. There are 6 slightly shocked Winchester guards standing before you, Sigfried. However, their shocked expressions kind of merely mar the expression of calm serenity as you see that your influence has swayed these people. They obviously react to the explosion, but you have them in your grip. What do you do?
So they had like kind of cornered him and were grilling him, asking him all these questions. Who's your commanding officer? When did you start? What's your duty? Where are all the other people? Just like grilling him with all these questions that he didn't know how to answer. And he was kind of stumbling. And seeing them under the effect of this ability that he used more instinctively than anything. He would be about to speak. His hand would go up to say something when the explosion of the Jeep goes off inside, which I think would kind of startle him. Partly in the character of this guard that he's playing, he would fall back onto the ground, kind of shuddering in fear and surprise, but partially in reality being surprised. But he would point away from the facility on the side where Donncha had broken the window, but away towards the fence, and say, you're not gonna believe this, but I think I saw a monster. It went that way."
Men, deploy! And 6 of these Winchester guards lock and load their rifles, take one last look at you, the lowly security officer, they think to themselves, and they dash off across the main courtyard into the night in formation. You can see them spreading out to basically intercept and pincer the position that you've pointed out across the far side of this very bleak concrete landscape that you find yourself in. What do you do now?
Siegfried is feeling a little in over his head at this point, overwhelmed by the chaos. Now he's hearing explosions. Oh God. Yeah, he would take almost a moment just to kind of sit there, trying to process everything, not knowing exactly what to do. And then he would keep the radio close, but for the moment, oh God, I hate myself for this. Is gonna slink away from the facility in the other direction, not knowing what to do.
Absolutely, you do. And it's almost like you can feel the heat on your back as you're walking away. The heat of an alarmed presence of a large amount of people, but also the fire flickering within. Tess, 2 large explosions have rocked the facility that you have been in. Taylor stepped away. Never mind. We will go back to Tess in a moment then. Toff, you open your eyes. You are in a very well-lit room. It is clinical. It is windowless. You appear to be leaning against a solid surface. Something that's a mixture of a dentist chair and a operating table. You're sort of like that at an angle. You look to your left and your right and you see 2 dripping packets of blood that are leading down transfusion lines and into your wrists. Your eyes, well, when you've opened your eyes, you've had to crack them open because they are sore. And for an instant, you see the blurring lights that flashed faster and faster and faster before you as you fell, smashing down into the alleyway and into darkness. How are you feeling as you have awoken in this strange room?
Toff doesn't feel the pain at first. He's just disoriented. He doesn't know where he is. But then it comes crashing back to him, pun intended, that what had happened. And he just kind of lurches up a little bit in the seat. And at the same time, every fiber of his being just screams in pain. But he just says one thing. He says, "Tess!" And then he kind of falls back on this seat. And he looks down at his chest, across his legs, and his clothing is just torn. It's soaked with the blood that he had taken in to sustain himself, but and maybe that's what sustained him and allowed him to survive the fall. And his hands are just he's just wrecked.
It's funny as you mention your hands, actually, and as you give that outburst of Tess and you lean forward, you look down at your hands and you see that at the wrist they are manacled to the thing that you're on. You've seen very similar manacles before, the kind that would be able to restrain even the strongest of your kin. And it is then that a door before you opens. You get a bit more depth perception as you're sort of coming to, and you see that this room is actually incredibly long. You see a number of tables, or these kind of chair table things that are on the sides that line each side of the room. And at the very end of this door, the door opens, and a familiar figure walks in. Peroxide blonde hair, immaculate black suit and tie. Mr. Gisborne. He stops as he opens the door and just looks at you, notes that you're awake, and then steadily just walks calmly across the room, and then stops at the side of your bindings where you are, and he just looks at you, and he doesn't say anything.
Toff is just struggling to form words. He's trying to get his mouth to work, but it just can't. He's like he's lost in this fog. He's kind of pulling at these bindings, but to do so just sends these, it's like these waves of pain through his whole body, something he's not experienced in a long time. And he just says, "Where's Tess?" And he just looks at him, and I imagine that Toff's eyes are just like bloodshot. When he smashed through that and landed in that dumpster, it just exploded all the tiny blood vessels in his eyes. So it's like the whites of his eyes are almost red.
Mr. Gisborne just looks down upon you. He has a very neutral expression upon his face, and he says, "The kindred that you're referring to is... what's the term they use? Missing in action. Taken by the forces of the Winchester Corporation."
Out of character for Toff, I kind of sense that he's kind of tense against this because he just wants to punch Gisborne in the face. So he's kind of straining against these restraints, and I imagine his ankles are restrained too. And he's pulling against that. But once he says that, what's so out of character for him, he just kind of almost slumps right down in the chair, and he just looks at him and he goes, "What do you mean? What do you mean, Winchester? That wasn't Winchester. I don't know what the fuck that was." And as he says that, there's like little flecks of blood on his lips.
They have many resources on their side. It would seem some supernatural. But that isn't important right now. What is important is your cooperation in this matter.
Toff's eyes drift down to the manacles, and then they drift back to Mr. Gisborne. Basically says, "I'm a captive audience. I'm not going anywhere."
He looks at them and he says, "Apologies." And he moves to the side of them, and you can see he flicks something on the side of them, and they kind of demagnetize, power down, and these things open. You must understand that was as much for your protection as it was for any here. When you lose a significant amount of your blood, as I'm sure you're aware, the consequences can be disastrous and uncontrollable. You understand, of course.
Yeah, Toff just slowly moves his head, agreeing with, because he knows. He doesn't like that part, but he knows.
As for the location that she has been taken to, well, it seems that your friends have taken it upon themselves to retrieve her.
What? Fucking fools. Just the two of them? Tell me you
Yes.
sent others with them.
No, I did not.
He doesn't even have a chance to finish it as Mr. Gisborne, probably just in that flat manner, just says,
I did not send anyone with them. An obvious trap, wouldn't you agree?
he nods his head.
You had a responsibility to them. One mandated by us here in the Camarilla.
Toff's eyes narrow when he starts to sense an angle that Mr. Gisborne is going to, but yeah, he doesn't say anything.
I will ask you something that you do not want to do. I'm going to ask you to step away.
The fuck do you mean? Step away.
I do this for your own good. Like the manacles, this is for your protection.
Toff pushes himself maybe a little bit quicker than Mr. Gisborne was expecting, and definitely too fast for Toff because he literally stumbles and falls down on his hands and knees. And he looks up at him. He says, "The fuck do you mean? They didn't ask for any of this."
Maybe not. But they acted carelessly. And they have got themselves into this situation. As I once said to them, the butterfly must break from the chrysalis itself.
They're one of us. I don't care how fucking new they are. The fuck? That's cold even for someone like you. You know we could save them.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Toff slowly starts to push himself back up, and he needs to lean on the chair to stay on his feet. So that's it then. Just fuck him.
I will not prevent you from doing anything. But would you not consider it kinder for them to learn from their own mistakes?
Toff immediately thinks back to the hospital. He thinks back to when Winchester arrived. He remembers the bullets that burned through his skin and caused a pain that he had not experienced until that day. And then he thinks of Tess. Poor Tess. If Winchester has her, he just slowly nods his head. I get it. They fucked up. Cut your losses, right?
They have become noisy.
He starts to say something, but he stops.
As I said, I will not stop you. I know that your kind have a tendency to cause a ruckus. That is not meant as an insult. That is a fact that we can both agree on.
He kind of takes a half step towards Mr. G. Maybe in his healthy state, it probably might be a little bit intimidating, even to another vampire. But I mean, his face is just scratched, cut, bruised, and he just says, We're all fucking vampires. That's the problem. Too much fucking shit about the clans. How the fuck do I get out of this place? And he kind of reaches down and he pulls the hoses free from his arm.
Very well. If you'd like to accompany me. And he begins walking out of the room.
Yeah, and it's just an exercise in pain as Toff tries to like puff up his chest with some pride and not let this guy see him stagger, but it's hard. It's hard.
You walk out of the room and you recognize that you are on a floor of Ventrue Towers, the Shard, as it's publicly known. And he actually walks you to a corridor that you may recognize. You actually notice his office is on... he actually leads you up a few flights before and goes to his office. And he opens the door and he says, there'll be one thing that we must discuss before you go on this crusade of yours. He opens the door.
I'm sorry. I gotta laugh. Toff has to laugh because he totally is gonna go and try to save their asses, but he didn't say it, and he laughs because Mr. G figured it out. I mean,
Oh
he
yeah,
knew it.
like it's so obvious. Like, but anyway, he opens the door and he says, "Before there is something that we need to discuss before you go on this crusade of yours." He opens the door, and you see a recognizable figure, towering, tall, bold, with long, dark clothes. It is the sheriff.
There's a noticeable hesitation in Toff. He's like getting ready to follow him into the office, but once he sees him, he literally stops and actually probably takes a half step back.
Take a seat.
Okay. And he would keep his bloodshot eyes on the sheriff as he finds a seat as far away from him as he could.
Tess. The explosions have rocked through the vicinity, and there has been an overwhelming feeling of movement throughout the complex that you're in. You are still in this room on 3 walls. There are those huge, long mirrors. The far door, that steel door, and above you, that once blackened glass, now clear as night. You can see the stars above you. You can only guess. Well, you can make an educated guess as to what that's all about. You are still surrounded by a number of Winchester guards who had pinned you ready for Starza, the leader of this facility, it seems, at least, was about to pour holy water down your throat. But they have staggered back in surprise. And Starza had been saying something about them being ready for what was to come. What's running through Tess's mind as you were inches from having holy water poured down your throat?
Tess is scanning the room. She's looking to the door, to the ceiling, to the weapons these guys might have. She's weakened. She knows she's not strong enough to break through glass or a wall like someone like Toff or Donncha might be able to. But if there's something she could use to her advantage, if there's a weapon that is maybe a little more unattended in the chaos.
I would like you to give me an alertness roll, please. Alertness and perception. -2 because of your injuries, I believe.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay, that's 3 successes. Oh, yes, that's 3 successes.
You see that each of these Winchester officers, they have these belts upon which sit a number of things, kind of a utility belt almost. You can see that there are 2 sheathed weapons. One looks to be something that would hold a stake-shaped thing, probably a stake. And there is also these hooked-looking blades, one you recognize to be something that was used to try and drag you into that stake, essentially, in a strange fighting style. You notice that how these things are sheathed, they have those kind of buckle things over them that you see on firearm holsters as well. And you see that one of them, the one to your left and nearest to you, has that but unbuckled, the curved blade.
Tess is desperate. I would like to try and grab it. Am I still being held at the moment, or did they let go?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be nice. They probably dropped you from the from hearing 2 explosions above. Yeah, you drop and you sink to the floor. You're sort of still in the corner of the room, and there are 4 of them around you. So yeah.
I'm gonna throw it and try and break the ceiling glass.
By all means, Dex and... Well, actually, first of all, you're going to need to see if you can grab it off him. So that's going to be... Yeah, because he might be able to stop you. That's something that I should have said. I'm just trying to see what it would be. Now, do you want to try and do it stealthily, or do you want to try and do it in a blur as quick as you can?
If I can get it stealthily, I would like to do that.
By all means, make the roll then. Stealth and Dex, please.
Stealth and Dex at -2. Ooh, these dice are nice tonight. This one has rolled 2 10s. Oh, but that's a 1. Dang it. So that canceled out the 10. Oh no! That's only 1 success because I had another 1. Dang it.
Okay, well, let's see. The dude that is hang on. Oh my god! So he rolled 2 1s, which deducts quite a lot off him. So you are actually able somehow to take this curved blade from his belt and without anyone noticing.
Okay.
Now that won't last for long because it's sort of like this. It's quite a sizable thing.
It's
So
pretty big.
Yeah, so that won't last for long.
I'm going to try and aim it so that it's going to shatter some of the glass.
Okay.
In the ceiling.
Now you're using a weapon, so that's melee, and I'll say strength or dex, whichever you prefer.
Definitely Dex. Shoot, I don't have any melee. No, that did not succeed. I only got to roll 1.
So you hurl this thing with all of your might, this blade, and it just bounces off this glass, which you realize must be incredibly thick because this is still a heavy, a heavy weapon that you're holding, at least for glass. Anyway, it bounces off the ceiling and it clatters to the ground. They whirl around, and Starza just barks an order: "Subdue her!" And they're all gonna just turn around and start laying into you, I'm afraid, Tess. I'm afraid.
I'm going to fight it tooth, nail, and fang.
Absolutely. In that case, roll whatever your attack is. So Dex and Brawl or whatever you want to be using. And I will do the same for 4 Winchester Guards, I'm afraid. Okay. Was that? Oh, okay.
That's 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay, so you take 3 bludgeoning damage as they whirl about and just start kicking you constantly.
Okay, and as injured as I am, what does that do?
So that would be 6 ordinarily, but you take half, so that you only take 3. So that's going to be 3 bludgeoning damage. Does that knock you back into torpor or into crippled? What does it do? It should say on your table. I
So
don't remember what health you're on.
I was at mauled. And then next is crippled, and then it's incapacitated. I don't know how many you have to go through to get to the next level.
So it's 1 for each, I believe.
Oh, ouch.
Let me just check. Or is bludgeoning
Bashing, isn't it? Not bludgeoning.
bashing, not bludgeoning, sorry, yeah. Bashing, I think it takes 2 to mark off, doesn't it?
I'm not too sure, but I know it's not very intense for vampires because we take half, so I don't know.
Yeah,
That
vampires
might
take
be
half.
it then.
That's not lethal damage.
So in that case, it is just 3 of those boxes then. So what does it put you on?
If it's 3 boxes, I'm past incapacitated.
So you're just going to be incapacitated by these
Damn it.
individuals that turn around and just beat the living shit out of you. They just kick you with these military strength, steel-capped boots, just kicking you into the corner. Rain upon rain of physical assault bears down upon you.
There's that last primal scream before she finally succumbs.
Yeah, you're still conscious, I will say, but you're just beaten to the point where you couldn't get up. Like there's no energy in your limbs at this point. And Starza just walks up and sort of kneels down, but a safe distance away that he wouldn't be in grabbing reach. And he just looks into your eyes and he says, I suppose those are your friends up there making that noise. Destroying our equipment. Is that right?
Bite me.
I'm going to give you one last opportunity for you to tell us what we want to know. Or I'm going to kill them in front of you.
Good luck. You'll need it.
No, we won't. We have true faith on our side. Your friends are doing what they did before in the hospital. We have a target of interest and they are walking into a trap. This entire facility is designed to repel their kind. There is no way on this earth that they will be able to enter here undetected. Do them a favor. Help them. You don't want them to die.
Because I can totally trust that you're not going to kill these vampires that you seem to hunt if I give you one little piece of information, right?
Just tell me their names. That's all I want. Just tell me their names.
Why?
Because I asked.
And I asked to be let go.
You're
Seems
not
we're
in
at
a
an
position
impasse.
of power here. Tell me their names.
Do you want the nicknames? Do you want the screen names? Do you want the avatar names? I think one of them might do some World of Warcraft, so...
He opens up the bottle on his side and he starts to pour the holy water over your legs. The burning into your wounds is unlike anything you have felt before. I would like you to make a self-control composure roll, please. You can find that on the sheet. Because he is going to straight up torture you until you say so.
Am I still at -2?
You would be beyond that now, I believe. If it's
Yeah,
crippled,
but
it's minus
then I
5.
can't roll anything.
Oh yeah.
I don't have
It's almost
enough
always
points.
minimum
If you
1.
have any points, you can spend a blood point to give yourself a round where the penalties don't apply. 1 turn.
Yeah.
I have 2 blood points left. I could spend one of them.
Ooh.
It's always the case
That's
in
a tough
RPGs
call.
as well that
Tough call.
you always have the ability to roll 1 dice even when you
Yes,
don't. You know,
yeah.
you never have a minus. So
What happens if I fail?
You're going to start breaking. I won't say immediately, but you'll start, and you're not going to be able to keep this up for long, essentially. What did you get?
I got my 1 success.
He looks at you as you are making this last defiant ditch to hold back this information, and he like takes the bottle. So it's like he's used like a quarter of it on you, okay? And you can see him just swilling it around. He actually takes a sip of it, closes the lid, and then says, "I think I have a better idea." And he looks over to one of his men and he says, "Ensure that Alpha and Bravo team are manned and ready. Have them deploy into the usual positions. And then once you've done that, I would like you to call the weatherman. Have him brought here. I know he isn't busy." The Winchester soldier that's looking at him gives a curt nod, looks down to you through those goggles, and then opens the door and leaves. We cut to the warehouse, flames rising higher and higher and higher. Donncha, you can see as you are reaching your destination undetected that most attention is out on the fire. And they are attempting to douse it with a number of fire extinguishers. What is it that you're doing at this point?
Did that 3rd explosion go off yet, or are they all conveniently standing around that car waiting for it to explode? Because that would be really nice.
It's not quite gone off yet because
Okay.
you said you delayed it a little
Yeah,
bit because of how time's working right now. Don't worry, I haven't
Oh,
forgotten.
good. Yeah, just wanted to make sure.
No
I'm
worries.
going to head for that computer area. I think that you said that the people there didn't look like they were in the same sort of SWAT gear and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I want
correct.
I want to head towards there as quietly as possible and then just like tear the head off one of them and scare the shit out of them if possible. So I'm trying to be as horrifying and frightening as possible in this, like, so I want to appear from nowhere and like brutally kill someone.
Yeah, so what I'll say is that you are able, because you're up on walls and stuff, you can see that there are a number of these steel girder pillars that line the warehouse, as they often have in warehouses. And you're on one of these horizontal ones that's sort of halfway up the height of the building, and you're above this area of the warehouse, and you see, there are a number of mainframes and computers set up there. There are a number of people in white coats, sort of looking frightenedly over in the direction of the explosion. It is then that there is another blast of kinetic energy as the 3rd Jeep erupts into an explosion. Lloyd, first of all, I would like you to roll me a D10 and tell me the result.
7.
7.
Yep.
7 Winchester guards are thrown high into the air as a 3rd Jeep goes up in a mighty explosion that rocks the room. There is a panic cry from the people below you.
That's the time when Donncha will drop into the center of them and grab the nearest one, and he's going to try and literally like rip his head off if he can do that.
Dex and Brawl, please.
Gladly. Wow. 8 successes.
Oh, shit.
Holy shit.
There are 3 of them there, so if you want, you can take out all 3 of them.
Perfect. Yep. So he'll land and he'll grab one and just like slam his head into the head of another one. And they just like collapse onto the floor. The third one, he's just going to like break his neck and throw him. He's going to immediately descend on those computer terminals and turn off everything. He's trying to turn off all like access to outside places, all of the power to this place. He's making sure that they can't pull that fucking trick they did in the hospital where the sprinklers come on. He's like turning off every possible power source in this place as quickly as possible.
And as you make a computer's roll with intelligence, I believe it is the thing you usually do, I need to also make a roll. So you go ahead and do that. Okay.
5
successes. You were able to instantly deactivate power and communications coming to this warehouse.
Excellent. I will then just go around and smash the computers that are there so they can't be turned back on.
A blanket of darkness falls across the warehouse, now lit only by the blazing fire of these trucks and the green goggles of the Winchester Special Forces unit, at least, have upon their heads. If you want to do anything else with the computers, that would require another roll, or is there anything else you wish to do whilst you're here? I need to know that quickly before I declare something else.
He wants to make sure that they can't be turned back on. I mean, they're just off at the moment, and he wants to make sure that they can't be turned back on. So he'd like pick up one and smash it on the other one, and he's trying to like, as quickly as possible, fuck the place so that he can vanish again.
Absolutely. And as you're doing that, you see just out of the corner of your eye a sudden blinding movement. Someone is moving towards you at great speed and is going to attack at you. I would like you to make a brawl check, please. Tell me if... Oh, okay. Tell me how you just defend yourself without taking damage from an individual that sweeps out at you. Appears to have this long army duster, a curved blade in one hand and a stake on the other, and this blade narrowly misses you. Tell me how you dodge.
He normally wouldn't have been able to, but he's like filled with blood at the moment. He's fed a lot, and he's like using all of that blood to like become the beast as best he can. And so in a normal everyday situation or every night situation, he wouldn't have seen that coming, but his senses are like so heightened that he sees it coming and just like ducks out of the way and like looks up at this guy. There's blood all over Donnacha's like mouth and chin from where he's been feeding.
You see that this individual looks kind of like the Winchester soldiers, but kind of looks a bit more bedecked, has this really strange, peculiar looking Kevlar armor on. Looks like it's made of some kind of strange fiber. He's taking a swing at you. He is obviously surprised that you ducked. He thought he had you, and his blade smashes into one of the computer terminals. And it looks like he's about to go for you again. You can hear beneath his breath, beneath his breath, he says, "Abomination." But it's your go if you want to do anything back.
I definitely do. Yeah, I'm gonna see that he's swinging for me and try and grab that arm and just snap it in half.
Absolutely,
is my plan. So
by all means,
brawl.
Yeah, brawl and dex, please.
Yeah. 4 again.
He beats that. You basically go to grab his arm, but he basically turns his weight fully onto the arms that you've onto your arms, and sort of rolls, and is then going to try and spin round and get you in the heart with the stake. I would like you to make another roll for your defense, please.
Oh, nice. 6.
Yeah. How do you stop the stake hand like just short of your heart? Just short of your heart.
So I try and grab the arm, but he's actually amazingly quick, way quicker than I would expect a human to be capable of being. And like my hands just like grasp on nothing, and then I see the other one coming, and then there's like the hand comes down just in front and like slightly bats the stake to the side. And because he's moving so quickly, it goes past me.
Amazing. And as you're about to launch forward for your counterattack, we move away to a significant distance from the warehouse now. Sigfried, you are walking across this concrete desert of a place on the outskirts of an area of London known as Brixton. You can see that there is that orange glow still emanating from the darkness of this really, really bleak area. And then you hear another large explosion go off in the warehouse. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, so Siegfried, like once he's a little bit away from the facility and into the darkness, he would have started to run with this unnatural speed, the speed of a vampire. His feet just kind of hitting the ground as he goes. He's breathing heavy, even though there's nothing about being a vampire that would say that he would need to breathe heavy, but like instinct of his humanity kind of picks up, and he's doing so anyways. And he's just like almost muttering to himself, barely out loud, but still some, just like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. What do I do? And then he like stops short, like turns back to the facility, and then just like shakes his head, gasping, just, what do I do? What do I do? And just like stops, like staring the fire, almost like being like a trance to him. I imagine he would kind of like fall down, like sitting on the ground for a moment, like a hand slamming it. And he's just like almost going into like some sort of panic. Like he stops, he wants to go back, but like he can't bring himself to do it.
I would like you to make a willpower roll, please.
That's 2.
The panic that is racking through your body is beginning to get too much for you. You're looking back across the courtyard once again, and that fire is almost goading you, mocking you. You feel this panic build up within you to the point that it's converting, modulating into a different emotion. Anger, hatred, hunger. Suddenly you are ravenous. Your eyes become animalistic. And then you see nothing at all. Toff, you are inside Mr. Gisborne's office. And the sheriff is just looking at you. Mr. Gisborne takes a seat. He moves some papers around on his desk, writes something down, puts his pen down, crosses his fingers, and leans over the desk at you, and he says, I can tell from your expression that you know that I know what your intentions are. So let us be frank. If you do intend to help your friends, and he looks actually disgusted at having to say the word friends, we are going to have to come to an agreement. Officially, if I am to let you boldly stride on this emotionally charged mission to rescue your friends, that would not be looked on kindly from any here. Indeed, chaos is exactly the thing that we strive to avoid here in the Camarilla. So, if we allow you to leave, you will be indebted to us. If you wish to help your friends, then you must help us here equally. Do I make myself clear?
Toff's skin is crawling. He makes a point not to even look in the direction of the sheriff. He locks eyes with Gisborne, and he can't even bring himself to say it. He just nods his head.
I want you to say it. And then, and he turns a piece of paper around and pushes it towards you, I want you to sign it. He then slides what looks to be a pen, and you can see, you've seen one of these before. Essentially, if you look at a sort of like a fountain pen, it would be kind of like that, not a biro. But at the end, you can unscrew it, and there is a pin. And essentially, you can prick yourself in. To write in blood. Of course you're going to write in blood. So he slides that to you and he says, the choice is yours. Oh, and you'll be signing for your friends as well.
He takes the pen. And it's like that long, awkward silence where he's just holding the pen, looking down at the paper. He goes, you're a fucking cunt. And he signs his name on it. He feels the prick of the needle.
Excellent. Now that officially means that we cannot condone this behavior. But now we don't have to stop you, he says, folding up the piece of paper, putting it into a desk and then locking it.
Now, in true Toff form, he did not read much on that paper, so maybe he'll remember a few words later on, but he's just literally seeing red right now. He would like toss the pen onto the desk and stand up and he'd say, we fucking done?
Yes, for now. We shall be in touch with your assignments. I'm sure they will appeal to your interests. I have the address. I will text it to you. He takes out his phone. You get a message on your...
No, I don't have a phone anymore. My phone got smashed.
So he sent you a text, but he doesn't know that your phone is broken, I guess.
Yeah. Instinctively, Toff, you know how like people just get trained where they keep their smartphone? He reaches for that pocket that is literally like torn. And he looks at Mr. Gisborne and says, I don't have my phone anymore. It's probably lost in that dumpster. Because he has no memory from, he sees the flashing lights of the fall and then he wakes up here. So he has no memory of anything.
He opens another drawer, takes out, there's a rattling, and you can tell that this might actually be a drawer full of phones. He pulls out this phone. It actually looks to be a particularly nice make of smartphone, hands it to you, a gift. He then goes on his phone. There's a number on it with a sticker on it so he can tell which phone it is, sends you another text onto that phone. Is there anything else?
Toff doesn't say anything. He just turns and walks out of the office. And the minute he's like, what?
As you're going, he says, you could always change your mind.
He like, there's that cinematic momentary pause as the words hit him. And then he starts moving. He doesn't say a word. The minute he's out of sight of Mr. G, Toff is going to run as quickly as he can to get out of the building.
Yeah, absolutely. You start pacing it towards the elevator. Tess, you're lying on the floor. You can taste your own blood leaking from your lips. What's running through your mind as you are just lying there, broken and beaten?
Tess is trying to figure out what went wrong, why they're here, why everything happened, and how to fix it. She's a problem solver. She's good at finding solutions, and she's trying to focus on something, anything, to take her mind off this agonizing pain. And she's just one room, 4 men, ceiling, door, window, window, window. And she's just running through the variables. What is in play? And she's coming up blank. She can barely move. She can hardly think. Everything just hurts.
It's a little while, or maybe it's seconds. You're starting to lose track of time. It's almost like it doesn't mean anything at this point to you. And then the door opens and Starza reappears. And this time he is accompanied by a very short man. He has a completely bald head, like Starza, but instead of the eye patch that the leader of Winchester wears, this short man, he's quite plump as well, has these perfectly round spectacles, perfectly clean, shining almost with all of this clinical light around. So you can't even see his eyes. You just see glares in circles over his face. And he says, Starza says to him, "Do your work. You will be compensated at the regular rate, and of course, anything extra will be seen to. If there's anything else that we can do to facilitate an easier time for you in this facility, we will gladly see you attended to." The short man sort of looks at him and gives just a curt nod. And
Darcy, you can't be bothered to do your own dirty work anymore.
Starza just looks over to you and he says, "I'm sorry, Tess, but you forced my hand. If you're not willing to give us the information yourself, we are just going to have to extract it from you. Very soon, anything that you know, we will know. And it's all thanks to the weatherman." And he gestures at this short man who walks up to you, takes a chair, sits it right in front of you, places himself down. He has a briefcase with him, which he picks up, opens on his lap, and begins doing something. It sounds like he's putting something metal together. Then he puts the briefcase on the table next to him. And it's almost like he has one of those things that opticians have to look, the light that shines in your eyes. Be very calm, my dear. This isn't going to hurt you at all. Now, that is no way to treat me. I'm here simply doing a job. I would like you to make a roll for me, please, Taylor, and just bear with me because I need to check the character sheet to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. Okay. I would like you to make a willpower roll, please.
So that's however many dots I currently have in willpower, right?
Correct.
And but I'm at incapacitated, so I'm at like -5, right?
And what do you get for willpower?
I currently have 5 dots in it.
Okay, I will say that you are allowed to...
But I can spend a willpower to ignore the penalty for a round.
Yes, you can. Okay, in that case, you will experience this intimately. This man is looking at you, and it's almost like your vision is fading on the edges of your vision to the
Tess
point
closes her eyes. She's not going to look at him.
It's almost like this is imprinted within you. It's almost like you're not seeing it. It's almost like something is happening within your mind. All you can see are those two blazing spectacles almost boring into your mind. in an attempt to prepare to extract information from you by force. And it is there we're going to take a short break. But first of all, let me just say hello and welcome. Those of you watching live and after the fact to Performance Check. This is Vampire the Masquerade London, Session 8, The Reckoning. And a reckoning it has been so far. Guys, give yourselves a short break, grab yourselves a drink, and we will resume play in about 5 minutes. Okay? Great. See you in a second. Okay, I'm back. So thanks again for those of you watching tonight. So you've got a few people in the chat. Oh, you're back, guys. How are we finding it so far?
I am loving it, but you're so friggin' devious, Rob. I mean, seriously, man. Not for Toff, but poor Tess. Holy shit.
That contract was a low blow, though. And signing it
I
for
know.
everyone.
The whole time I'm thinking
Donncha
in my head, I'm like, me, not Toff. I'm thinking, Rob, you're an asshole.
Donncha is going to kill Toff.
Donncha's not going to find out till probably way later because Toff is not telling him.
I see that there was a question about the blood transfusion. So you will be returned to your normal state. So you will have your blood points to 8 at this point.
Oh, actually, my generation allows my blood point to be 13. So is that what he's returned to?
Yeah, go on then. Why not?
Oh, yes.
Why not? You're going to need it. I can see that you guys are back. I can't see Lloyd. Is Lloyd, are you there, man? I can't see your face from the little thumbnail.
Yes.
Hello. There we are. Cool. Excellent. Are we all good to get straight back into it? Pardon me. Let's do it. So, Donncha, you are still locked in combat with this individual who has just swiped past you. And it's your turn. What are you doing?
Okay, I'm going to try and grab him and then bite him. No, I'm not going to bite him. I'm just going to try and kill him.
Yeah, absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
6 for me.
Oh, you don't kill him, but you severely injure him. Tell me what you do.
So Donncha is starting to get the rhythm of this guy, and like he's starting to understand how quickly he moves, and so he watches for him to like make a swing towards Donncha, and when he sees it coming, Donncha like steps in so the swing can't connect, and just like gut punches him, and you can feel like a crunch of like ribs and stuff as he like manages to get that connection in.
Yeah, the punch is so powerful it actually hurls him back, and he slams into the wall and maybe topples over one of those mainframes, and he falls forward at your feet. He gives out a low groan. The punch would have definitely done a significant amount of internal injury to the man, and he likely is not long for this world, and he sort of turns over in an attempt to try and get away from you, or at least it looks like, until you quickly spot that there is a grenade in his hand and the pin is missing. I would like you to give me a dexterity and whatever you want to try and get out of the way.
Oh boy. Yep. Dexterity and alertness.
So let me check, because the reason why I was asking you to do dodge on the last session was because I was looking at a character sheet where the system still had dodge as a thing. So I would say it's dexterity and athletics, I guess.
Athletics. Okay.
Yeah, if you like.
Three 10s there.
Nice.
Okay, so a total of 5.
That's really good. Tell me how you evade, or if you want, because you were so sharp on that, you can do something with the grenade instead if you prefer.
I would prefer. I'll see it and I'll simply like grab it and I'll fling it in the direction of all the jeeps. Now I imagine with my vampire strength, it'll just sail in that direction pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I want to do something with this man before he explodes. So I want to throw the grenade away.
Yeah, it flies through the air. 3, 2, 1. And it explodes another 2 jeeps on the other side of the warehouse. Chaos is just erupting. Someone in panic just opens fire in the direction of the jeep. So it is just becoming a madhouse in this warehouse. What do you want to do next?
I'm just going to reach down and put my hand around his throat and like crush it. I'm going to look at him and I'm going to say, "This is why you should be afraid of the night." And I'm going to break his throat basically and crush it if possible.
I'm going to let you beat him, so he just wasn't killed outright.
Okay.
You can totally do that, yeah.
Is he wearing a mask or like a helmet?
Yeah, he just has the goggles, and you can see sort of like a headband as well on his head.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take his duster. I'm going to put them on to try and look like him, and then I'm going to use my Mask of 1,000 Faces to try and become like him and look like him.
Very well. You totally are able to do that. Very good thinking. So, is there anything else that you'd like to do? Like, is there a direction you want to be heading in at all?
Yes. I mean, the power is gone now, I think, right? So I don't know if I could still use the lift, but I'm going to try and go over there and like open it and just jump down it if that's the case.
Yeah, you absolutely can. In fact, the only way out of this warehouse you can see, other than the door at the front, is this lift. You can see that it's surrounded by this corrugated mesh frame, essentially. And I won't ask you to roll. It's pretty easy. You can pull out a human being can open those elevator doors with a bit of elbow grease. You're able to do it without any trouble. You see that the lift is at the very, very bottom of what appears to be a significant drop.
Okay, so I'll begin climbing down slowly. I don't want to accidentally fall, and at this crucial part of the mission, like, just like fall and get impaled. So he'll take his time and like climb down as safely as he's able.
Sigfried, you feel like you have rested well. You feel content. You feel at home. You feel warm. You look down, feeling the ground. You can sense every grain of grit and dirt upon the floor. Your senses are heightened. You can hear the song of the entirety of the city. You can also feel the blood that surrounds you, making this hard concrete ground slick. You're on the very edges of the grounds where the concrete meets dirt and the odd tuft of grass. There is a line of hedges and a tree from which entrails hang. The leaves of the hedges are coated in black, sticky blood. The 6 Winchester guards that had disappeared into the darkness after a fake target are now nothing more than the remains of remains. You take 6 blood points because you're able to drink from all of them, but you were so quick and so violent that you were already tearing apart before you got the fill of just 1. You see shattered bone. You see a jaw just on the ground next to you. What's running through your mind?
The last thing that Sigfried remembers, he was on the ground, staring at that fiery glow. The building. Panic that had set upon him. And then suddenly he wakes up, and he's like sitting on the ground, just surrounded, and there's this slop of what used to be people. And for a moment, there's like confusion. He like looks around, his eyes darting in fear, wondering what could possibly have done this to these creatures that left him. Perhaps one of his allies came. They had found him when he panicked, and they had helped him but left him here. And then he looks down at his hands, which are covered in blood. And he like feels at his face, and he can feel it sticking to certain parts of his skin. And he looks down, and it's just all over him. And then the realization hits as he comes to understand that this was no other vampire, no vicious creature outside of him, but a vicious creature inside of him. And his jaw would drop, his eyes would go wide.
It's at this point that I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm sorry, I just need to ask you to do something. I need you to do a humanity check for me, please.
Shit.
Now, last time we did this, I'm pretty sure we did it with conscience. I could be wrong though.
I think you do it with humanity.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Maybe. I'm not totally sure.
That might have been helpful because my humanity is real high.
Yeah, mine is very, very high.
Give it a roll.
All right, that is 4 successes.
Strangely, you can understand what you've done. And for a moment, you think it might be okay. It might have been something else. And then you realize it was you. And you can work out whether Sigfried would think that this would justify these individuals would kill you if they knew what you were. But 6 of them are now unidentifiable. Yeah.
Siegfried just lets out what can only be described as like a shriek of pain. Just and he's like, his hand goes to his mouth. What did I do? No. And he just like stops on the ground, like rocking back and forth, just like in emotional agony.
Fucking hell, Jeff, if there was inspiration to give, wow. Yeah, you're just alone in this, and it's almost frustrating to you how sort of just flat and normal and strange a place that you're in at the same time, just surrounded by this blood and by what remains of those human beings that you dispatched without even realizing it. Toff, what are you doing? You've exited Ventrue Towers, and I'm going to say you've been on your journey essentially through London, but you can tell me how you've been doing that, man.
So Toff's going to be like doing one of those Super Saiyan type things. He's going to be literally just like building up that adrenaline in himself. But unlike humans, it's fueled by the blood that courses through his body. So he's going to use a few blood points on the way to beef up his strength and dex. But he would definitely be moving as quickly. He would kind of look a little out of place because he's got these Doc Marten boots, and they're just thump, 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 thump on the pavement as he's running. So he looks like some guy out for a late evening jog until you see how he's dressed, and then you see his face, and the rest of him that is just kind of just butchered. So yeah, he's just like, it's like almost like his vision is like what is that called? Tunnel vision, and all he's doing is he's just heading for that locale.
Amazing. You're pacing the blood that you're infusing your movements with, pounding in your temples and in your eyes. You are sticking to routes that you know. You've lived here a long time. You know exactly the best route to take to get to the location. You're running through dark passageways and alleyways. Old bits of newspaper and rubbish are thrown into the air in the wake of your movements so fast that you are like an animal, like a hunter, like a thing of the night, moving from shadow to shadow in the blink of an eye. Astonishing method of moving across the city that is blind, or at least mostly blind, to your presence. There is a shape that lurches from the corner of your vision. A shape that somehow appears to be matching your speed, but also seems to be in slow motion to you. I'm going to need you to make a dexterity and athletics roll, please. Now you can heighten that with that dexterity that you're using. The celerity that you're using, if that's something that you can do. Yeah.
Five successes.
Something lurches out of the dark and tries to grab onto you, but you are able to push forward and evade the thing that tried to seize you. The choice is yours. You can continue on your way, or you can turn back and see what tried to do it.
I guess Toff would turn and look, but only if he can hear it following him.
You cannot hear it following you. I would
Then
say.
he would keep going.
The glimpse that you get as you turn slightly as you're running is just a shadow that watches you as you run by. It is not long at all before you reach the area intended. You are noticing that a cloud of smog and mist is descending upon this part of the town. It is a cold night, but there's enough vapor in the air that mist is now surrounding this huge industrial part of the area that you've arrived in. Mist that's descending upon just flat, open plains of concrete and warehouses. I would like you, Toff, please, to give me it's not going to be a very difficult one, but I do want you to make an alertness and wits roll, please.
Four.
You hear something that is something you recognize unmistakably to be a cry of abject anguish. A cry that echoes across this concrete wasteland. And as you're running, approaching, you see this glare in the distance, fire within one of the warehouses. And you arrive at the source of that cry. You see Sigfried, and you see he's surrounded by remains and weaponry and blood.
Toff runs up to him, not even breathing heavy. He comes up in front of him and he says, "Sigfried, hey, what's going on? Where's Donncha? Where's Tess?"
When you say Sigfried, he like puts his hands up as if you've like went to punch him, not even expecting, like just so lost. Then he like hears the words and it's, I did this. I did this. So much blood. So much blood.
Sigfried, hey. And so in a rare moment, Toff is going to gently kind of move your arms down so that he can look in your face, and he's going to say, "Sigfried, hey, look at me. You did what you had to do, but we have to help Tess. Where is Tess? Where is Donncha?"
He doesn't say anything. He just kind of points his hand shaking towards the building, just engulfed in this orange flame.
All right. he would turn and just look as you point. Then he would turn back to you. But quick question for you, Rob. What would Toff see as, I mean, beyond like, I know about the devastation that has been wrought by Donncha inside. You know, he sees the flames and stuff, but he's looking for entry points. Not that Toff is a criminal, but he's probably broken into a few places in his time. And so that's what he'd be looking for. He'd be looking for those spots to a place to get in there.
I can absolutely allow you to do that. And for free, I can tell you a few things, and then I'm going to ask you to roll an alertness and perception. So whilst you do that, I will tell you this. It would seem that there is only one entrance to the warehouse, as I mentioned earlier. But you know that these are prefabricated. These things, while sturdy, if attacked by, say, a vampire, you could pretty easily make your own entrance. What did you get for your perception and alertness, please? Because then I might be able to tell you something else.
Yeah, I got 3 on that.
Okay. You suspect that maybe if this is indeed a military facility, the likelihood is that there's a lot underground, maybe, and that requires there to be a number of things in place. I'll just let you know that for such a place to work. All right.
And it'd probably be like bunker style underground stuff. So it's not like a typical basement. So he's going to grab Sig. Well, he's going to try to start to move towards the building. But as he looks over his shoulder, if Sigfried is still standing there, he's going to go over real quick and grab him roughly by the shoulder and say, "Let's go. They need us." And he's just going to pull him. And I guess we'll go through like a window, if there's a window. If not, like you said, Toff will make a door. If there isn't one readily available.
Well, you absolutely can do that. The easiest you suspect to go through, one of them near the front of the warehouse would have been broken already, which is where Donncha would have gone through, but that's quite near where the fires are. Alternatively, looking at the building, you suspect that it might be advantageous to go around the back if you want to do a full circuit of the actual warehouse itself.
So Toff, on the way over here, he's had some time to think, and he also thinks back to Tess's old work, and he just keeps replaying what happened over and over, the mistakes that he made, and he's thinking to himself, he's not going to be like before. He's going to think this through. He needs to think this through because Tess is depending on us to do it. So yeah, he would bring Sigfried along with him to kind of go around the building. I imagine we see that it's powered down too. There's probably just the fires and maybe emergency lights going.
Yeah, you can see that emergency lights are literally flicking on as you basically arrive. They've just gathered together the gumption to basically do that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
In the as Toff grabs Sigfried, at first he would just kind of let himself be pulled along, not necessarily going, but not resisting. But after a little bit, he would kind of shake his arm free, and he would say something like, "All right, fine. You don't have to pull me. I'll go. I can at least do something right tonight. Might be one step towards what I've done wrong." And while he's saying this, he's going to kind of try to focus himself in, calm himself, and he's going to use 3 blood points across the course of them moving from the location he started from to the facility to charge up his dex a lot.
Perfect. And am I right in saying then that you're moving around the warehouse? Is that what you said? I would like you both to make one final. As you've changed location, you're moving around the back. I would like you to make another. I said awareness before, didn't I? It's alertness. It's alertness and perception.
No, I think you said alertness before.
Oh, did I? Okay, that's all right then. They're very, very similar.
Yeah, I think one's supernatural and the other one is the other stuff.
Yep.
That's 2 for me.
4. Now, can I do one thing, Rob, real quick? Something that Toff would have done. So I just picture, like, as he's getting close, he knows he's getting close to the address. He's running along, and then there's this wrought iron picketed fence, and he stops and he grabs one of these iron rods that are just like this kind of faded black, and he just rips it free. And so he's got that in one of his hands as he proceeds forward.
Perfect. And something that isn't too difficult to spot, but the keen eye may miss it. And Toff, you do see this first. You see what looks to be like 2 large mirrors on tall girders, and they are angled in a certain way like that.
Like they're aiming towards a roof or something. The roof or something.
Like they're aiming towards a section. It looks like a built-up concrete mound, essentially, and one of the mirrors is pointing down at it.
I don't even think Toff would even know what the hell this contraption is. Maybe he would point it out to Sigfried real quick, but you know, Toff kind of does a lot of his thinking with his hands. So he pointed out to Sigfried. Maybe Sigfried would be able to kind of puzzle out what that is. I'll make a roll if you'd like, Rob, but I'm telling you, that's not my strong suit.
That's very fine. They're very honest of you. I don't think you would. And to be honest, it isn't an ordinary thing to see, unless now that you've pointed out to Sigfried, maybe he would like to. I don't know. It's up to you.
Maybe it's to focus light.
Down below? Fuck yeah, and maybe he remembers from way back when he was a kid in like this history class in about the Egyptians, and they would use polished surfaces to bring light underground. So he would remember that, and he'd be like, maybe head in that direction. See if maybe that opens to a window or some sort of aperture that I'm thinking like one of those things, like those military things where it's like this aperture where like opens up. So he'd run over there.
Yeah, you are able to make your way over there, and you can see that it is surrounded by a tall fence, and secondly, it isn't hard to spot that there are a number of sensors over this thing as well. But looking at it, it looks to be like those mirrors are pointing down a shaft of some type that's covered and protected by all sorts of security things. And that is something you can mull over as we go back to Tess. Tess, your eyes are still firmly shut, but all you can see are those 2 glasses, those spectacle lenses, boring into your mind's eye. And I would like you to make a willpower roll for me, please. As you ignored it the last time.
2.
You can just hear a voice saying, "Be at peace. We are friends. I am your confidant." What you see is these glasses burning like fire in your brain. "I wish to know something of you. It will let me help you.
No.
Just tell me one of their names."
No.
Taylor, I would like you to roll me a d4. If it's a 1, Donncha. If it's 2, Sigfried. If it's 3, Toff. And if it's 4, reroll.
What? Donncha.
The glasses seem to almost flare with light. Very good. Very good. And now
No, stop, please.
let's find out. Let's find out who made you. You can tell me if you wish.
Go to hell.
Very well. And it's almost like those glasses begin to burn brighter and brighter and brighter again. The only thing you can see in a sea of darkness. Is there anything you wish to do? Anything you wish to try?
I don't think she can do anything. She's trying to focus on anything else.
Okay.
She's like trying to remember any other name. She's remembering people from her work. She's remembering Callum. She's remembering her sister. She's trying to think of anything.
If you
But
want to
these-
try and distract him this time round, because otherwise, what I'm going to level with you. Essentially, every time you fail one of those rolls, he's going to be able to learn something else. But in between that time, I will allow you to make a let's see, subterfuge roll, if you like, manipulation and subterfuge.
Okay.
And I will say, yeah, you're still -5, aren't you? I'm just trying to get you to do. I don't want you to feel like you're not doing anything this session. I just feel like you're a bit screwed.
That's fine. Those are really good skills for me, so I'm still at least rolling multiple dice.
That's all right then. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, a 1, a 10, and a 9. So let's see how the
Okay.
10 shakes out.
Ooh.
Okay, 1 success.
Paint us a picture, Tess. What are you putting in your mind's eye? How are you trying to eclipse these glasses?
Tess is been back to her work recently, and so she's picked a lunch meeting, and people are arguing good-naturedly over which boxed lunch they're gonna get. You know, nobody wants the tuna salad, somebody wants the roast beef, and someone else didn't want the mustard on it, and it's just this inane banter, and all these people that she'd been working with, and there's nose job Judy and Karen, and she's got this sweater on that's too tight, and everybody just rolls her eyes, and she's just focusing on this inane stuff, something to anchor her mind.
And as you're doing so, you're allowing this picture to fill your mind. And you can see that the glasses, burning as they are right in the center of this image, it's almost like it's fighting to stay within the image, burning away as if it's a flame behind paper. Donncha, you are a couple of feet away from the elevator at the bottom of the shaft. What do you do?
He's listening very carefully to hear if there's anybody in the elevator, because he knows that the power is out or was out. Would he have noticed the emergency power coming on? He would be confused as to how that happened because he turned everything off. But he would be listening for the hum or whatever if it come back on.
So it wasn't emergency power that reactivated. It would be emergency lights, just batteries up in the warehouse. The power is still off down here.
I got you. Okay. So he's pretty confident that the lift is not going to move. So then he's going to try and get onto the lift as quietly as possible. Doesn't want to make any steps. So he doesn't want anyone in the lift to be able to hear like a dong or anything. So I'll roll stealth if you like. Do that.
Please do, yes.
It's a 6.
Yeah, you're like a ghost. You don't make a sound as you transfer your weight onto the top of the elevator. You're able to see by looking over the gaps of the elevator that you're actually at the very bottom of the thing. There's like the lift isn't blocking any further drop, essentially. So,
Okay. Is there? Do I sense there's anyone in the lift? Can I hear anyone inside, or can I peer through?
you can't hear. Yeah, you'll be able to peer through. I'll say there'll be those things that they mainly have in movies where you can actually look through down into the elevator. You can see there's no one in there.
Okay. So I'm going to try and lift that to the side and very quietly drop into the elevator. I'm trying to drop into the elevator. So if the door is open like this way, I want to be like behind like where the buttons are, so that I won't be in view.
I would like you to make a perception alertness roll, please.
Yes, sir. Perception. 3.
Okay, you see something that you recognize in this elevator. You see that there are a number of kind of red shaded lights, both at around knee level, essentially, that are sort of in the walls of the elevator.
Okay, and do I see them beyond the elevator, like out in the floor?
The doors aren't open.
Okay. So then I'm going to have to Mission Impossible this and not go below that level of the lift, and basically like climb in and try and hold on to the top and like keep my legs up, and then how am I going to fucking open the door? Try and open the door.
Yeah, you absolutely can do that. I will say it will be difficulty 7.
Yeah, that's fair.
On your test to open it, but it's not that hard. It's just an elevator door, right?
Sure. What is it? Strength and brawl or dex and brawl or?
Oh, to open the door. I didn't make you roll before, did I?
No, but that was a different kind of door.
Okay, so instead, I won't ask you for the door. What I will do is I'll make you do a sort of like an athletics or an acrobatic roll of some type to see if you can position yourself in a point where you can open it easily. Yeah, athletics and dex for me, please.
Okay. 3 again.
Yeah, so you just like putting your fingers in and wrenching open whilst you're upside down?
I guess he's like holding on to the ceiling with one hand, and then he would like put his fingers in and just try and open it a tiny bit to get the peak of what's outside before he like goes to the process of like and like opening the door. He wants to see if there's like 15 dudes standing there with guns or whatever, before he opens it.
As you open the door, you hear a ding. And the brief glimpse that you get through the door reveals just that. 10 individuals in the darkness, torches pointing at the door. And as they're open just a moment, just a fraction, there is a as 10 people open fire with incendiary rounds at the door. I'm going to make an attack against however you want to get out of the way. They're going to be at severe disadvantages that you only open the door a tiny bit.
Crack, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so it's just going to be chance, literally, if they get you.
So what do we need to roll?
So anything that will allow you to basically move out of the way of the door, because they might come through the door.
Yeah.
So athletics and dex again, if you like.
Yeah.
If that's good for you. Let's see. Oh god, there's a lot of dice.
Pretty good on my end. I'm worried though with this many boys. So I got 4.
4. Okay. Let me re-roll. Cross your fingers. A one round basically flies through this burning incendiary round, and it clips you in your shoulder as you're hanging upside down. But I'm gonna, so it's just one aggravated damage to your shoulder as the rest basically pound into the door. You can see that the elevator door is basically disintegrating as they open a clip of incendiary ammo at the elevator.
A clip, as in a full clip, and do I hear them going?
Yes, you do.
Then I'm going out of the lift and charging.
Absolutely. Okay, let's do this.
He's got covered in blood. He's got that trench coat on of their friend or whatever, and the goggles and whatnot. But his mouth opens like a snake, like unnaturally wide. He's got like blood all over his claws. He's just gonna like charge straight.
You explode out of the door and down the corridor, Daredevil old boy style, as we start a corridor fight. Let's do it. Roll your brawl, man. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
7.
Fuck me. Okay. Tell me how you take out 2 people to begin with.
So they're just not expecting the speed, and I think even though that these guys are like somewhat inured to like the idea of a vampire, they're not expecting Donncha to come out there covered in blood and screaming and like his mouth like disjointed like a snake and all this like awful Nosferatu stuff. And 2 of them are just like, and they don't have time to like think and strike, and so he just like grabs one and like shoves his hand through that guy's face, and there's like a and then he grabs another one and smashes his head into the wall.
And as that one just smashes into pieces on the ground, a few more move forward to try and strike you. You see stakes and blades in their hands. Can you roll me a brawl, please? Brawl index. Okay.
5.
Oh, Jesus. Damn it. Okay. So one of them gets you with 1 point of aggravated damage, but that's it. And it's now your go as they basically are like filing towards you. Only a few of them can get to you at a time in the corridor.
Okay, I'll go again. So I have 1 less dice now because I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Can I spend blood to remove that from me?
Sure, why
Does
not?
anyone know?
I think you can.
It's willpower to stop. Not
I think it's
blood.
willpower. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll do that. I'll spend a willpower and repress that feeling. uh, 8. Whew.
8. Okay, tell me how you kill 3 more. Essentially, from their perspective, they just see this creature of the night explode out of this elevator door, and they're just the flashlights of the that are attached to their rifles just going crazy as people are attempting to reload. And every moment they just see a flash of you there, then over here, then over there. What's it like when you kill 3 more?
It's exactly that. He's just like, he like appears, and every time he like, there's like this flash of like a, as like a bullet flies or something like that, and it like lights up the room, and there's just like a, as like Donncha like slashes somebody, and like cuts into the body or whatever, and then is gone again, and then he's behind somebody and like tears out a throat or something like that, just all over the place.
And that gives the other 5 at the back time to reload. You've seen that the clips have gone in, the stock thing has been pressed back into the shoulder, and you see laser sights train on you once again. And we move to Sigfried and Toff. You are staring at this like this concrete pillar, essentially, that you can tell to be like this big vent thing surrounded by this fence. What are you doing? We'll start with Sigfried.
How two quick questions. How tall and how wide is this pillar?
It's about 10 feet tall, and it's pretty wide. It's, I'd say, 10 by 10. 10 feet, that is.
And the sensors that we can, at least the ones that we can see, where do they appear to be? Are they like positioned like all over the place, or is there like a certain spot where they kind of have set them?
At hip length all around it.
Siegfried is going to glance over to Toff and perhaps surprise him. We don't have too much time. We have to go. And he's going to climb the fence. And in his current state, with enhanced dex, Siegfried is just going to attempt to leap from the fence and grab onto the side, just like slam into the concrete above the sensors and try to climb up.
Okay, so give me athletics and dex then, please. And whilst you're doing that, why don't you tell me what you're doing, Tough?
One, he's probably, there's a little bit of him that's surprised and proud of Siegfried actually leaping into action like that. So there's probably that little moment of pause where he's like, all right, Siegfried, this and Siegfried's already in action, doing probably exactly what Toff is going to do. So what Toff's going to do, he's probably just a little bit behind, because Siegfried has celerity too. So we're both super fast vampires. So he's just going to launch into action after him, spring off the top of, what is it, that Constantine wire on top of this fence?
Say that again for me, sorry, mate.
Yeah, is it like Constantine wire, like barbed, like bladed wire on the top of this fence?
Wire, yeah.
Razor wire, yeah. Okay. So I would just follow along behind Siegfried. So, and what he would want to do is kind of leap up to grab using the section of that fence to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you'd like to do dex and athletics for me as well. Siegfried, what did you get?
I swear to God, 8.
Tell me the amazing way you land exactly where you want to on top of this thing. You clear it.
Yeah, so like Siegfried just begins like running towards the fence. Like he's already fast with celerity, and like with this like blood that he's drained from all those men, he's just like pumped it into himself with so much for even extra boost. In a blur, he's like up on top of the fence and just like swan dives up off of the edge of the fence, just like over the gap. He's easily able to just jump up onto the side of this pillar above the sensors and just like almost like eerily quick like spider climbs, just begin just up the pillar towards the top of it. And in a blink he's up and he's just like looking back down towards Toff like expectantly.
What did you get?
It's beautiful. Toff does not quite do it quite as gracefully as Siegfried does. It's probably his ballet training. He gets a 7. But I imagine like as he kind of hits the top of that fence, it's already kind of doing one of these ching 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 things and so he kind of slips a little bit, so he doesn't quite get as much oomph off of it. But I'm hoping a 7 will get me up there.
You are able to, and I'm going to say that you land and you're able to like claw yourself up, but you find it particularly difficult as you both take this in. You see that covering the entirety of this concrete sort of cylinder that you're standing upon is glass, but it appears to be incredibly thick. You understand that it might be bulletproof, it might be something else proof. You don't know. What's your next move?
Toff is just going to, in 2 hands, take that wrought iron piece of fence and just slam it. But can we see through it though? Like, can we see like vaguely like Tess down there? Oh my gosh, that is going to trigger Toff. He's going to see this guy, this creepy dude leaning over her, and he is just going to go nuts. As
the thing about this is that you can't see directly down because it's kind of obscured. But the weird thing is that these mirrors are obviously all pointing in the same.
So what I'm seeing is the refraction of all these in the images.
Is a
Awesome.
scene where this small bald man is sort of like sat on a chair in front of a broken-looking Tess, surrounded by how many did I say? There were 4 holding you and there were 2 others, so 6 Winchester guards and a bold individual with what looks to be an eye patch over his eye. And you can make that strength. That would be strength and melee or brawl, whatever you want to use, man.
All right, cool. I'll use melee because I am using that rod.
I don't know if there is in this system, but is there some way that Siegfried could attempt to help him with that?
You can both do it and we can total it. Yeah, that's fine. So we'll add you both of your successes together.
Well, that wasn't much help. You can add 1 to your total, Lionel.
That's okay. I ended up rolling 3 10s. I have 10 dice when I do this. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and with yours 9. As Toff just kind of does one of these things, jumps up in the air like total like action movie slow-mo, boom, and slams down on this glass.
So the supposedly vampiric proof glass, or at least strength proof glass, whatever, like Sigfried, you hit it once and there's a crack, and then Toff just comes in and just smashes it. The whole thing gives way beneath you. Now, would you be honest, would you both have been prepared for this?
So I think Sigfried
think so.
saw the angling mirrors, and he's like, we can use those. So he would have thought like, once this breaks, I'm going to try to use those to control my slide down.
Yeah. Would it be kind of a slide, Rob, or would it be more of a boom to this mirror, boom to that mirror, boom?
It's vertical until it reaches like a point sort of at the bottom where it obviously moves around a little bit.
So to honestly answer your question, Rob, yes, Toff expects to fall. What he's not expecting is it to give so quickly with that. He was thinking he's going to do it. He's going to have to hit it a few times. So that's probably the surprise that he has. So there is a little bit of that surprise for Toff.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason that I'm saying Siegfried's as ready as he is because right now I have 5 decks, 2 celerity, and so he's pretty pumped up on this kind of thing.
No, that's absolutely fine, and I just wanted to check, that's all. I'm sure if you're standing on glass and then intend to break it, you would be ready anyway. It's just common sense. The thing gives away, and you're able to fall, and you both are able to easily catch onto the frames that hold these mirrors to the sides of this shaft going down. A number of, well, basically all of it shattered glass, just pours down, bouncing off these mirrors and the like. And you can see that there is a significant drop. I would like you to make athletics or and dex rolls, or whatever you would argue that you would use to get down there.
That's going to be 5 for Siegfried.
That's going to be, I rolled 4, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my 2, I'm going to use potents, and I'm going to use a blood point to make both of those potent dice successes. So that's going to push me to 6. So
yeah.
Whereas Siegfried is like graceful as he kind of drops, Toff is all just brute force, and he's just like as he hits that first mirror.
And you both begin your descent down. We return to the interrogation chamber. And Tess, you're still focusing on that image until suddenly all is clear. Your vision returns to you, and you see from your position on the floor that you're back in the room. The small bowl man with glasses is looking worriedly over at Starza, who is just receiving word from one of his officers that something is occurring one corridor away. Starza says, "But that's impossible. You." And he basically commands 4 of the guards, and he says, "See to it." And then one of them stops and says, "But sir, something's been triggered in the mirror shaft." And he sort of looks up at the ceiling and he says, "Stay where you are. Keep your eyes on that glass. If you see anything, open fire." But
I told you you'd need luck.
he turns around and he kicks you squarely in the face. "We have one name. That will do for now. And it seems like they're already here. This is working out incredibly well for us."
I could be giving you the name of my uncle. You don't know shit.
The weatherman assures me, and he is never wrong. The weatherman is looking at him with a slight concerned look, though, but he doesn't say anything. And he says, "Get back to work." And the small, plump man sort of looks down at you and he says, did I mention anything about risk and damages being added to my contract? You will be paid as promised, Stars says. You watch that door. And he points some of the guards to the door, but most of them are now looking up at the ceiling. Is there anything you want to do, Tess, as you're briefly snapped out of this this invasion?
Oh, I'm muted. So Tess is kind of preparing herself, hearing that there's something a corridor away and that there's something in a mirror shaft. She doesn't know quite what that means, but she can see the men looking up. And she's going to give whoever is coming for her the best chance she can. And if something happens, if someone enters the room, she's going to do everything she can to provide a distraction, screaming, clawing, throwing whatever she's got.
Yeah, your eyes fall on that blade that you threw at the glass ceiling. It still lies on basically just off the center of the room.
Yeah, she looks over there. How far is that from me? I don't know if I can move, actually. I'm incapacitated.
You'll be able to crawl. So that's up to you.
All right, if shit goes down, she's going to start crawling.
Remind me how many blood points are on.
Dos.
Okay. You can use those if you need to.
Yeah.
Okay. Click, reload into the shoulder. Donncha, a hail of blasting, fiery ammunition is coming your way.
So I'm wearing the clothes of that guy, including his armor, the Kevlar, the guy that I killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my attempt to dodge is to like pick up two bodies and like hold them in front of me.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yes, go ahead.
What do I need to roll?
So athletics and strength or brawl, up to you.
Okay.
There's only 5 of them now, so it's not as bad. Still pretty bad.
I guess I have to do that every round, right? Use a willpower to suppress my damage.
If you wish to do so, yes.
I certainly need to, or I'll be shot.
Okay.
Powers of the night.
Powers of the night. Okay.
So I got 4.
You take another point of aggravated damage as one of these fiery bullets basically passes through the dude somehow that you're holding in front of you, but the Kevlar that man is wearing on him as you're holding him up is enough to protect you from the majority of it. As basically they rail automatic fire upon you. You feel this bullet basically go straight through you, which is thankful because if these stay in you, it's worse. It's your turn. 5 of them.
I'm gonna have those 2 dudes. I'm gonna hold them as I like run towards the pack of these dudes who are like shooting at me. So using them as a shield as I like run towards, and then I'm gonna throw them and begin tearing apart as best I can.
Amazing, do it. It's hard to pick up this amount of dice.
It becomes difficult, doesn't it?
It does, it really does.
Oh, baby.
Okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, you just did it. Tell me.
Fuck, amazing.
Kill 3 of them.
So he's got these 2 bodies, and as he gets close, he just like throws one, and like it like ragdoll style just, and like the solid boot of that body connects like with the jaw of one of the dudes, knocking him out. And then Donncha's among them. He like swings this kick into the leg of one of them, and it snaps. And then he like punches into the face, crushing it. And then finally, he just like grabs a throat and rips a bunch of goo out of it, and then he snarls at the remaining two.
Well, you're going to love this because there was a number of critical failures from one of those, but it wasn't one of the ones that you got. So what I'm going to say is that one of the dudes that you threw clips another dude as well. He goes over and there's a rail of as he falls down, and the automatic fire clips the man next to him. So you technically got 4, but it was the other dude who got him. And now there is one man facing you in the corridor. Who is just staring at you with abject horror.
I'll say, run.
He's gonna do a willpower. By the faith that is bastion within my being, I will not withdraw.
Then you will die.
He draws a stake and a long blade, and he's gonna rush you.
I love this guy.
He is gonna fucking go down fighting, even though he just shot one of his own men. So brawl and dex for me, please, Donncha. Oh, okay. You got 5 successes. Do you beat
6.
that? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Tell me how you finish him.
It's really close. I think he actually like cuts me with that hook that he has, and it like rakes across the chest, and he like tries to get the shoulder, but it's a little bit like Donncha leans back and it cuts across his chest instead, and he like looks down for a second, looks back up, and then just and like leaps forward, and is gonna like bite and tear at his throat, not intending to drink anything, just to tear at the throat with his teeth.
Amazing. The hallway falls silent for a moment as you look back and you see the devastation that you've wrought. 10 Winchester soldiers, now nothing but blood and bones.
And there's like a part of Donncha's mind that's screaming at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're a monster. What the fuck? What the fuck? But also there's a major part of his brain which is like, more. I'm
not going to make you roll humanity though, because they are trying to kill you. So,
yes. Yep.
However, I would like you to make an alertness perception roll, please.
Only 2.
It's enough though. You basically hear something coming from one of basically this corridor you've gone up is just a number of doors. One of them might have just opened because someone was thrown into it, maybe in your assault. You can hear the footsteps of a number of people rushing in this direction. You imagine maybe another team, who knows?
I'm going to lie down dead with the rest of the bodies. I look like them, and I'm covered in blood. I'm dressed exactly like them, and I've used my Mask of 1,000 Faces to look exactly like that dude. So I'm just going to like lie where the bodies are and wait to see what happens.
Amazing. You lie down, and the second that you're in position, the door opens. Another 5 members of Winchester Guard basically sweep in torches and like, holy shit. Donncha, Sigfried, and Toff. You're at the bottom of this shaft, and you see that it now basically turns to horizontal, and you can see that there are a number of mirrors along on the wall now. And you can see just ahead of you that there appears to be some kind of prism, essentially, in a dome above what looks to be a long rectangle of glass that's on the floor. I'm sure you know what that is, as players.
You ready?
Yeah, we do one of those action hero things where we both look at each other, nod, and then just start running down this hallway.
So what is your intention? Are you just rushing it and like going to immediately smash into the glass, or what is it?
Again, unless you tell me differently, Rob, Toff is making a mental note to play this smarter, not necessarily do it the way, because that exactly what Toff would do. But what he's going to probably do is run up and then look down in, because obviously, you know, we all know what Toff and Sig are hoping to see down there. We don't know though.
So you basically rush through, and it's fortunate that it is still in its see-through, basically, setting. You're able to peer through, and you see a clinical room Ironically, not unlike the room that you woke up like in like a short while ago, Toff. Broken tiles, blood upon the floor. You see 6 Winchester guards in there, a bald man with an eye patch, and Tess, the same thing that you saw in that mirror when you looked into it. And a short, bald man with round glasses.
Once Siegfried, I imagine he would see it on Toff's face. But if he didn't, once Toff would like signal or say what he saw, he would just ready himself. We have to go quickly. Once you break the glass, I'm ready.
Now, does this glass look as thick as the glass at the top of the tower, or is it thinner?
It's hard to tell. Probably the same.
So Toff's going to just give it his all, and he's just going to say, "I'm going to break this fucking glass like the other one. You got to get down there quick. I'll be right behind you." Maybe we would say, the eye patch one. Does he stand out from the others, or do they all kind of blend in like they're all Winchester? There's none that stand out as
he does. He's got this long duster on. You can tell that those who are advanced in rank have these dusters that they wear. And he is kind of he's adorned, and he has like stars over his name and stuff like that. So
yeah. So Toff would say, "Get that one. I'll work on the others."
Siegfried's gonna kind of like almost duck down into a what would be close to like a runner's lunge almost. Like he's clearly not trained as a runner, but he kind of, it's that instinct, vampiric instinct takes over. He kind of readies. Like the second that this glass breaks, he's just gonna like spring down and try to go for the eye-patched bald man.
okay, so whatever attempts you'd like to make to get through the glass, make them now, please.
I got 8 successes, but again, I will. This is important, so I'm going to expend another blood point so that I can make one of my fails a success. So that'll make it 9.
Well, before you do that, let's just see what Siegfried got.
Oh, okay. He's going to help me like he did before.
I think that's what he said.
Oh,
right?
no, I'm.
No, I don't think so. He's getting ready to dive in there.
Jump
Yes,
in,
you
like
are.
dive
My
in. The second the
apologies.
glass is gone, I'm not wasting any time. I'm going straight in.
I will.
So
say,
I'm definitely burning the blood point then, because Toff really wants to get in there.
Okay. All right. So you hurl yourself at this glass, Toff, and I would like you to explain to all of us what it is like when you explode into the interrogation room.
It's like this. It's like this loud like, and then there's like this moment pause, as then all the glass falls and he just drops. It's like this shadowed form drop, and he falls, and there's this like metallic ring as this this fence pole that he has hits this tiled floor, and it's just he like perfect 3-point stance, and then he just starts to stand up. But I'm going to be using my celerity for this, but that would be my action. So I imagine Siegfried would be able to go then.
You absolutely can. However, they are going to go first because they had readied. They were ready for you coming through that, as mentioned in the scene previously. So as you are the only one that's come through as of yet, Toff, 6 people are going to try and shoot you. So make your evasion things with celerity in hand if you wish. That's entirely up to you. Or you can just go straight for the attack. Up to you. Okay, I take that one off, but I add that one. Okay.
That's only 6.
Okay, that's weird because I have 6 as well. You're the aggressor, so I'm going to say that you succeed in somehow evading the attacks. Tell me how you do it.
I think it's just you know how you can be ready, but you're not quite ready for what happened. Like, they probably didn't expect the glass to shatter that quickly and the form to drop in so fast. So it's almost one of those things where with celerity, you can move so much faster than normal. And even though these guys are trained, they're just surprised that Toff moves. So they're kind of shooting where he was just that split second before. So I imagine some of these bullets are ripping through his jacket, cutting across his ribs or something, but it's not enough to really strike home.
Amazing. And you mentioned that you were going to do something else with celerity, because you get 2, don't you? You get to again.
He immediately. Well, but here's the thing: when I use the celerity and I split it, I go at the end. So if anybody else is taking an action, so those guys shot, and now it would be Sig, and then Siegfried. I would be able to take my second.
Off you go, Sigfried, and then Tess.
So the second that the glass shatters, Siegfried just lunges forward, just flying down, jumping straight at this eye-patched bald man. And is just going to attempt to bash his face in. So I have used a willpower point off the bat to start, so which will grant me 1 success. And counting everything else, I swear I rolled 5 10s for a total of 11 successes.
Oh my god!
Holy Christ. Yeah, well, I just rolled as well, and he doesn't get that. You don't kill him, but it's going to severely wreck him. Tell me what you do.
Yeah, so with just like unreal speed, like these guys have seen vampires, but this is still like faster, I think, than most things that they've seen. Siegfried's just like 1 second he's up at the top of the shaft, the next he just like flies like a bullet down to towards this eye-patched man, just like tackling him just straight down to the ground, and just begins like smashing at his face, just like pummeling him, just over and over and over again, as fast as he can possibly manage with this like unearthly speed and power.
All fire is directed at Toff at this point, so you are uninterrupted as you begin to smash into Stars' head from a kneeling position on top of him. But the way that you hit him and he isn't able to make a noise, you are just that on him. Tess, this explosion of kinetic energy around you and death surrounding you, what are you doing? You can crawl. You can spend blood points. What do you do?
Tess is weak, and she feels the remaining blood in her, and she is still lying there, and she just grins up at this man with the spectacles and shakes her head at him, shows her fangs, and some of her wounds begin to start to heal up, just the superficial ones, and she'll heal herself 1 level.
He's looking at you through these glasses, and he's like cowering from the immensity of the attack, like he's thrown himself to the ground, like next to you almost. And then he turns his head and his eyes meet yours through those glasses. The first time you see his pupils, and they dilate, and he says, "You must understand, I'm a professional. This is just a job."
And I'm hungry.
Roll it.
I don't know if I can do that this turn, because I think it takes a whole turn to heal myself.
I'll let you do it.
Yeah. So Dex and Brawl?
Yeah, sure is. You still got penalties, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Nothing?
Nope, nothing. She's like starting to crawl towards him, army crawling, just the fangs out.
And in terror, he's like dragging himself back, but the terror is stopping him from being able to get to his feet as the killing commences, essentially. And speaking of dead things, Donncha, you are lying still.
But wait, Toff has his last action.
I apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize.
Go ahead.
But I have a mechanical question. Can I use another blood point in the same round for a different action? I just don't. I'm not clear on that.
Scene, isn't it? So no.
Okay. So in that case, I have 5 successes. As what Toff does is his eyes dart around. He sees this guy, this sniveling dude, backing away from Tess as she kind of lunges at him, and he just whips like spear style that black iron rod and looks to impale him. And I got a 5.
Let's see if the weatherman can get out of this one. Oh, okay. 5. Here, you get him. You get him. The where do you can get one of his limbs with this. So which limb do you impale?
Yeah. So he's backing back. Yeah, exactly, Lloyd. He's kind of pushing back because he's like, no, that's not my deal. That's not what I do. I don't fight like these guys. And all of a sudden, there's like that shocked kind of like, oh, as he looks down, and where it was just his thigh before, there's this thing protruding all the way through. And then he sees this vampire, this blur of a vampire, because Toff's not this time, but the next turn is running, and he's gonna rip that fucker out. But that's what he does.
Amazing. Yeah, incredible. And he's like,
I do have one question though, because before Toff broke the glass, he just saw Tess and did it. Now he's actually seeing Tess for the first time. How bad does she look?
She looks bad.
Honestly, like really bad, like
real bad.
Fucking oil Toff's blood bad that these guys would do this to Tess.
If a stray incendiary round hits Tess, she will die.
Shit. So that is totally up to you, Rob, whether or not you ever want to make me roll against my frenzy, but
I'll bear that in mind. The corridor is cold despite the heat of battle. Donncha, you're lying on the ground and you're playing possum as 5 Winchester guards sweep into the room, unnerved by the amount of death they see before them.
So he's waiting, like one of those terrifying spiders that like digs the hole and waits for something to come by. And he's like waiting for someone to come within striking range. Ideally, he wants them all to walk past him. And then whichever one is at the back, he's going to simply like reach up and grab whatever he can of that person, drag them down, and just like smash his fist into their throat, killing them, is the idea.
They are slowly making their way into the corridor, and then they hear a whoosh as there is the shattering of glass and the opening of fire, the sound that can be heard echoing down the corridor, and they begin to start making their way past you towards the noise. You may act if you wish, or you can wait. Up to you.
I'm going to. I can only assume. Donncha only assumes that's a good thing, that there's chaos back there, and so he is going to just grab one of these guys and see what he can do. Try and kill.
Okay. This is just his dex because he is unaware. Is there something else that I've learned? By the way.
Oh man.
Oh, he gets to re-roll.
7.
I rolled 3 crits and got exploding die. However, he gets 6. So tell me how you kill him.
So I think that Donncha goes to like grab up towards him, but then he like grabs for a second, just grabs like loose bit of clothing, and it doesn't really work. And then he has to like let go, and then like grabs like a handful of flesh and just like pulls him down to the ground. And then there's just like this brutal like elbow strike to the face, and the face is caved in, and he lets that out, and is gonna try and murder the rest of them.
Yeah, they're gonna whirl about, but you have surprise, so off you go. You go first. So many dice. Okay.
Okay, it's only 6. We're not good.
No, it isn't good. You launch forward, but one of them is ready for you, and just swings the butt of his rifle up to meet you and just cracks you about the mouth. And you fall back as they raise their rifles and go to shoot you. Make whatever.
Yep, I will say that I used like I have 1 point of willpower left, which might mean that I'm going crazy very soon.
That's fine.
I've spent almost all of it. Can I spend my last one? What happens then?
You can, but then you're going to be on the edge, and it can happen at any second.
Actually, can you I don't think you can, because I think you literally go feral. Don't you, Jeff? Jeff would know more.
Well, there's a difference between your pool and your score. So I have a score of, like, so I think you can.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I don't think, as far as I'm aware, I've been looking through like the spending willpower. I don't see anything that has any limitation or punishment for using the willpower points. They're just a little tough to get.
Yeah, so then I'll definitely use it here to try and defend myself.
Okay.
Using my last point. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 5.
Oh my god. Again, only just you're able to hurl yourself out of the way, but one incendiary round manages to clip you. This time it goes straight through your gut, and it stays there, this burning feeling within you, as you think it might have actually hit your spine as well. So that's another point of aggravated damage to you.
Yep. So I can't use any more points to reduce, so I'm rolling at -2. But I'm rolling.
Yep.
Not bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Okay. Pray. You're okay. Tell me what you do as you take on 2 of them.
Yeah, so he's beginning to like see almost like tracers. So like when a hand moves in front of him, he can see like the hand like 10 times as it slowly moves in front of him. He's getting woozy, and he's starting to like not think anymore about what his approach is, and he's starting to just like act purely on instinct. And he just like as like one of them shoots him, he like steps back, and then he just like grabs one and like smashes his forehead into the face of that one, and then he like smashes his elbow into another one. He's just desperately trying to kill as many as he can before they take him down.
Yep, and they're very desperate to try and stop you. However, I would like you to make a willpower roll now, please.
Oh boy. One. No, 2. Sorry, it's 2.
I'm going to explain what they see.
Oh god.
So this last bullet like hits you, and it seems to like shake you for a moment, and there's a look of victory in their eyes behind their goggles as you sort of stagger. But then you make that lunging attempt and then take out 2 more of them. And then they see something different, something descend upon you that can barely be described. They say the very first Nosferatu is a being that has never been seen by anyone for thousands and thousands of years. And there's a reason why. If you were to look upon him, the legend goes that you would die from fright. Your heart would stop. This might as well happen to them as this monster that lurches at them just descends upon them with claw and teeth and violence and death. One of them is desperately trying to claw himself away from you, one of his legs already missing, pooling with blood, as he is then dragged backwards and then beaten into the ground again and again and again until he stops, albeit for a twitch or 2. The interrogation room, however, is still ablaze with combat as we go to Toff.
Yeah, Toff is going to do the same thing. He's going to use a blood point to gain another action. And let me take that away. But this first action, and I pre-rolled it because, like Jeff, we both got a shit ton of dice. So his first action is just wrenching that rod free, and then he's just going to bring it down and just smash this guy's head. And I got 6 on the.
And that's just a Winchester guard?
No, that's the dude that was the weatherman. He's going to rip he's going to rip the rod out of his leg and just bring it down and try to smash his head.
You're not going to leave him for Tess?
No, I mean,
fine. That's fine.
Lionel wants to leave him for Tess. Toff would not. What he would see is this leering, creepy ass dude messing with one of his friends, and that's what he's just going to smash him.
Okay. What was it you got your successes? Sorry.
It was 6.
Okay. He is going to choose to do something. You hurl yourself at him with all of your might, all of your strength, at where you believe him to be. And your attacks just smash into tile and concrete beneath them, as actually he appears to be slightly right of you. And you see this man, and you see a curl beginning to spread across his small mouth. You don't sense anything from him at all that is vampiric. This individual is something else. And it would now be Sigfried.
Yeah, Siegfried is like slammed Stazzer down to the ground and is just pummeling him with everything he's got. And he's just going to not let up. And he's just going to like bring up his hands and just try to actually smash his face in.
Okay.
And that's going to be, I've put another willpower up front. So this is going to be 8 successes.
He will also be spending a willpower.
And hopefully those injuries give him a nice penalty.
He didn't do... I didn't need to do that, but never mind. I'm going to be honest, he did spend it. But that, however, is not enough. As you continue to make your assault, you raise your hand to punch him again, and this arm just reaches out and grabs you by the throat. There is something unearthly about the strength in which he does so, and he is going to just launch you across the room, Siegfried. So I would like you to make a Dex and Brawl roll, please, with whatever bonuses you have already because of your boosts. Oh, I can re-roll that.
7.
9. You get hurled. You basically fly across the room and you smash into that table which the weatherman's briefcase is on, and you basically just smash through it. You're going to take oh god, that would be 4. Yeah, it would be 4 bludgeoning, and that's because it's halved as you go through the table. It is now going to be Tess, and then the Winchester's guards.
Tess will keep army crawling. The legs, the wounds, leaving trails of blood behind her as she moves steadily towards the man with the glasses, not looking at Toff, just eyes locked.
Unfortunately, his attention appears to be entirely upon Toff. So
Oh,
you
good.
can reach his leg, which has still got the thing through it.
I'm gonna bite it.
Okay, Dex and Brawl.
I'm also healing that and spending my last blood point.
Oh no.
I'm spending my last blood point to heal, so I'm not at -5.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm only at -2. Dex and Brawl.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. Oh, I lost one. Okay, I'll reroll this one instead. That is... Dang it. I have a 1, so only 2 successes.
2 successes is enough to grab hold of him at least, but now I would like you to make a willpower test, please.
Ooh. So I just roll the number of dice I have in my willpower pool, right?
That's correct. I believe in you.
3 successes.
You know, usually as you've seen in this session so far, twice already, which is pretty astonishing, I usually describe it because you're not in possession of your faculties. However, because this individual has wronged you, I'm sure as a player, you would like to describe what Tess does to him as she loses control. You finish him easily. Go.
Absolutely. Tess grabs onto his leg and pulls. And she bites down and then lifts up and the blood is dripping down, and she pulls again and gets to his arm and pulls again and is like, because Toff had pulled that rod out, until she gets up to his face and he's bleeding, and she looks at him and she's like, "You should have gone to hell when I told you. Hell has come for you." And she bites his throat and rips it out and drinks his blood.
And literally his last breath is him saying, "You don't understand. I'm part of the..." as you rip out his throat. And something goes ding, 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 ding. Something metal rolls across the floor from his body. It is now the Winchester guards, and they are going to... they're going to divide their fire. 3 of them are going to try and shoot at Sigfried. 3 of them are going to try and shoot at Toff. So we'll start with Sigfried. If you'd like to roll your defense, however you want to do it, or your attack, which way you want to go.
Five.
How do you evade them?
Yeah, so like they all the ones that go to fire at him like just pull up the guns and start to unload, but like in a blur, suddenly where they shoot, Siegfried's no longer there. Just this weird speed in the blink of an eye. Boom, he's moved nearer, moving back towards this strange man that's somehow thrown him like that. And their shots just go and pelt the wall where he had just been, no longer.
Amazing. And now, Toff, whatever you're going to be defending, or are you just going to be straight up using your attacks to meet theirs, in that defensive way either?
Question. So because I'm using celerity, would you allow me to use that to as part of my defense?
Yes.
So I would use my speed. Okay,
Yes.
Cool. Then I'm going to get to roll a couple more dice here. Because those bullets hurt.
They're not fun.
I still only got a 6.
Okay. 6 successes, did you say?
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. How are you able to defend yourself and dodge out of the way with celerity?
So you say defend yourself. I think it's like that vampire version of adrenaline. So bullets are kind of ripping through past him, but they're not sinking deep, kind of like what was happening with Donncha. One hasn't really found a good soft spot yet that would kind of like stagger him or something. So yeah, so I imagine he's taking like that. He's being minorly injured.
Amazing. And we cut to the door of the interrogation chamber, which gets ripped open and flung away. Something that you think you recognize explodes into the room. Something powerful and something entirely eclipsed in shadow. A beast from the pit itself. Lloyd, make a willpower roll for me, please.
Oh, God. Two.
You see this creature from the shadow just explode out of the darkness and just start ripping into 2 of the Winchester guards that are nearest the door. One of them is basically just ripped apart from the middle of their body, just opened up like that. And then another one basically just gets hurled up into the glass and just gets splintered on the remaining glass in the ceiling, hangs there for a second, slides off, and then onto the ground. Through the fever and through the pain and through the ferocity, Lloyd, you can tell what's going on in Donncha's mind, at least, like, because he's not really aware, but something's happening to him.
Yeah, he's kind of trying to like become a beast to this whole thing. He thought it would be useful, but now I think feels kind of trapped a little bit in it. It's just like this insatiable hunger and this need to destroy, and he doesn't know how to stop it.
It's so much worse than you could have ever realized. And to be honest, you're not even really processing this at the moment. You were able to get 4 blood points back as you drain 2 of the people that you attack. We're now back to the top. Yeah, that's it, because that they had their go. Sorry, I'm struggling to, because now the multiple combats have now joined into one combat, so I'm trying to keep track of it. Okay, Toff, we're back to you.
Toff has seen this before. Toff's done this before. He's lost to the bloodlust. He barely recognizes Donncha. There's probably just little glimpses. And Toff thought Donncha was ugly before. So there's just like this metallic ting, 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 as he drops this fence rail onto the tiled floor. And what Toff is going to do, he's going to scoop up Tess, and he is going to use his turn to the first part of his turn, because I'm going to expend a blood point, to run past this thing into the hallway and out of this place. And then at the end of the turn, he'll dash again with his celerity. And he's one other thing. He's going to look at freaking Sigfried and say, "Fucking run!" Because Sigfried has no clue what the hell is going to happen.
And did you say you were grabbing Tess? Sorry.
I want to scoop up Tess, because Tess looks beat. And he knows if Donncha doesn't get control of this frenzy, he's going to turn on us. So,
well, you're going to have to see if Tess is going to let you, because Tess has gone into frenzy. So in that case, Tess,
so we would oppose then.
Willpower, please, first of all. You're muted, Taylor, if you've said anything yet.
That's a 1. That's 1 success.
Okay, give me a brawl and dex roll, please. And Toff, you've got to oppose that.
Okay. I can oppose it without like harming her, right?
Yeah, you can do it with strength or dex, actually. Toff, up to you.
Oh, shit, yeah.
I got 1.
I'm not even going to bother. I rolled 2 10s. I got a 1, so I'm going to pull 1 out, but I got 1, 2, 3, 4 successes showing before I even roll my 10s. So I should roll them, though, because I might roll a 1. No. Yeah, so I got 4 successes.
You can tell me how you basically stop Tess from 1, ripping you apart, and 2, how you get her out of the room.
Yeah, so it's just one of those things where he grabs her, so she's facing outward from him, like you would kind of hold a child. And so she's like, so she's probably scratching him and whatnot, kicking at him, but he's just holding her tight, like with all of his Bruja strength, and just dips out through the door. And he's probably saying things to her like, "Tess, you got to get control of it, Tess."
So you're running down the corridor towards the elevator?
Yeah, he's just looking. I guess he's following the bodies.
Yeah, I guess so. You don't know that it hasn't got any power, though. So in that case, it is now Sigfried's turn. You're in a table.
Yeah, Siegfried has managed to roll and move out of the way of the hail of bullets, and right as he was expecting another round to come from, there's the door just literally, and 2 of the people are just evaporated in a mess of Donncha. You would hear Toff say, "You have to run." He would like look over at Stazer, and then like at Donncha, and then like the 2 remaining other guards. Not totally sure what to do, but then he's just going to look upwards, and leap up, grabbing back up at the top ledge, and start trying to climb up, like smashing mirrors to hold on to the metal frames to try to climb up out of the silo.
Perfect. I would like you to do athletics and dex or whatever you want to use to do that, because some of them are going to try and open fire at you as you leap at the ceiling, essentially. Oh dear, you don't have to roll many successes. Oh no. Shit.
I got 5.
Yeah, they did really badly there. So you're able to heave yourself out with a massive jump, and you land. You go through where the glass was and land in that that tunnel again. Is there anything else you want to do with your move?
As far as he can get up the down the tunnel and then up, he's gonna go as fast as his celerity can take him.
Definitely, you'll be able to just zip right out there. Next round, you'll be able to climb out and you'll be out. It is now Winchester and Staza, and then it'll be Frenzy Donncha. 2 of them already fired, so the other remaining ones are going to take a shot at Donncha. Donncha, I need you to roll your whatever he would use, but obviously you're not doing it mindfully. I just need you to defend.
Okay. Does he have any like buffs or anything because he's insane?
You
Frenzy
do,
ignores all wounds.
Okay. Yeah.
As a heads up.
Ignores all what? Sorry.
Wounds.
All the
yeah,
penalties
that's
from
fine.
damage
That's
are discounted during frenzy.
Yeah. Okay.
6.
How is Frenzy Donncha able to like just evade or not get hurt by this?
He's not really there. He's just a shadow, or an image of a shadow. This smoky thing that like vanishes and appears, and so when the bullets go for him, it's and gone, and there's no actual image of him, and they can't get a good target because he's just a nightmare made flesh.
Staza is clawing himself to his feet, looking upon you with horror in his eyes. You can see that through the haze of the frenzy that he is injured and a victim, but unlike the rest of them, doesn't appear to be bleeding. It's like his face is ripped, but there's nothing beneath it. Like his skin is made out of sack fabric almost. Almost like through your frenzy, you can see something that no one else would. Button eyes, stitched mouth. He's going to make an attempt to attack you. Roll your defense, please.
Me?
Yes, please.
Eight.
You just exceed that. Excellent. So what is it like when the frenzy Donncha is attacked but like doesn't affect him?
I guess like normal Donncha wouldn't have a hope, but like this Donncha is just actually Predator, and like sees all these different like things that you wouldn't be able to see usually, and you can see these different layers on top of each other, and you can see the attack coming in like all these different directions in his frenzied mode, and he's able to like step aside and then just like smash out with a hand
and make an attack. If you're not controlling you.
Yeah.
Just make your attack for me, please, and I'll describe what's going on.
Blood. Oh my goodness. 9. I got 4 10s there.
Frenzied Donncha, you finish what Sigfried started. You don't even really process it fully. All you see is just you ripping at this creature, and you see strings and thread and fabric and stuffing just being pulled apart as this creature is sent screaming back into the horrendous place that it once came from. And then you see nothing at all. I just need Sigfried to do me one thing with your celerity bonuses intact. I just want you to do athletics and dex, please.
Six.
Excellent. And Toff, would you mind doing the same?
Yep.
Sigfried, you easily leap from wall to wall off these mirrors. Like the weight of you in some points are like breaking parts of it off, but you're able to hurl yourself out into the night. You've been through hell. What's it like as you are outside again and seemingly free?
Yeah, I imagine he like climbs off, like jumps out of the concrete, like slides it down for a bit before jumping, like vaulting over the fence, almost like a parkour runner would do, and just begins like hurling himself just through, just slamming down into the concrete. And I imagine as he goes, he sees that just the pool of mess of the blood that he had apparently wrought earlier, and it kind of strikes him with a pang in the stomach, but he doesn't let up. He's just going to run enough away from here that he can feel safe trying to wait and regroup.
Toff, tell me how you are able to blitz through the rest of the base as people try and grab you, people try and shoot at you, but you are able to.
So I imagine, with your permission, Rob, I am actually going to take the hurt condition, because I imagine as he's running through there, bullets are flying, and he sees how damaged Tess is, and he kind of turns himself, so it's like thump thump, some tear through his shoulder and whatnot. But yeah, that's what he do, and then it would be one of those things where he's running. There's no window, there's no door. He feels like a trapped animal, and he runs at this wall, and then he spins and bam, slams through it. And that's what I guess maybe Sig would see. So we get this elegant exit from the place from Sigfried, and you see this Bruja smashing through a wall.
Amazing. You disappear into the darkness. You just running in any direction you can to get away from this threat.
Yeah, he wants darkness. He's gonna try to get someplace dark.
And you're already quite some way away. I mean, you're strong enough to be able to hold Tess even when she's frenzying, to be fair, but it's still a bit of a struggle. And after a little while, you realize you're going to have to stop. But like I say, darkness is what you get. From the corner of your vision, a shadow lurches and delivers an achingly powerful, smashing attack at Tess. Tess is instantly just out. And standing before you, Toff, is the sheriff. As he begins advancing upon you. We see the facility.
Oh, sorry.
We see the facility. We hear the occasional rattle of gunfire. And then again, then an explosion. One Winchester guard is running for his life out of the warehouse doors, sprinting as fast as he can across that concrete wasteland. But it's flat and barren, as there's nowhere to hide. He's limping and in pain, and he falls. And as he falls, he turns and he lands on his back. And he sees something that would stop his heart in fear. As Donncha descends upon the last of them. And that is where we will leave our session tonight. So, as per usual, we're going to do a rundown of experience. So, to begin with, we're going to start with Tess. What did Tess learn?
I think she learned that her friends will come for her. There's a lot of bravado early on. She said a lot of shit that she wasn't sure about. She'd met these guys 4 days ago, maybe. They don't owe her anything. But they came anyways.
Definitely. What did Sigfried learn?
Siegfried had been operating under the assumption that the vampires that acted like monsters were choosing to act like monsters, and that he had the chance to choose differently, that he had this life that was his choice to make, to do with what he wished. He has found out that sometimes you don't get to pick if you're the monster. Sometimes the monster picks that it will be you, and you don't get to stop it. The choice isn't always yours, and sometimes there's nothing you can do but be a vampire, like it or not.
What did Donncha learn?
Ooh. That he is devastating and very frightening. Kind of knew that, but he really learned that like he is a wrecking machine and that he can kill easily and that he can be invisible and that he can frighten people. But then he also learned, I think most importantly, that if you go too far down that path, it's not what he wants. It's not what anyone wants. It's something else entirely. It's like an easy path to power, but it's also an easy path to vanishing.
For sure. And finally, Toff. What did Toff learn?
Toff's learning curve this session was not quite as grand as the others, but it's important for a Bruja learning. Direct and brutal is not always the best way. So he learned that if he takes a moment, not only takes a moment, but relies on others, like he did with Siegfried, that you can accomplish what you need to. And he did that. They got Tess. So that's his learning curve, is just the slowing down piece. Because typically he would be impulsive, he would be brutally violent, and to get his way. But actually, I'm proud to say, Toff was probably the least violent vampire tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I won't argue that. So now it comes to the point where we pick the character moments and everyone can jump in here. And we'll begin with Tess. Poor old Tess. Who wants to jump in?
Just go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, I'll go. For me, it was the fact that, like, I think Tess is kind of, for a lot of this, been kind of played as this timid might be too strong, but like, you know, there's a certain kind of lacking in confidence and a looking to Donncha especially, but the others to kind of help. But still, this session we saw like her literally she was broken, had holy water dumped on her legs, was burned, and like still had it in her to fight after everything that happened. That like when Siegfried and Toff broke in, it wasn't those two just going in trying to help her, but she was still trying to do something, and she's like a lot more resilient, I think, than definitely Siegfried thought, and perhaps even than she thought. And it was really cool to kind of see her push past all that to still take action, despite being literally maimed and wrecked beyond belief.
Lloyd, do you want to go next?
My favorite moment was the crawling across the floor after the guy. It felt really like brutal and cinematic. Like he's trying to get away, but he can't, and she's just like this inexorable force that's like going to eat him, and he like can't do anything about it. It felt really vampire-y.
Yeah, I love that moment too. But to add another scene, a moment that Taylor had with Tess was when they were pouring the holy water on her legs. I mean, I was literally cringing in my seat as Taylor was just role playing that out. I just think that Tess, she showed her resiliency. You know, it's been something slowly building since the embrace. And but it's different, you know, like where Toff and Donncha are just badass, mean, resilient. Tess' strength comes from a different way, and I love it.
I agree. And to add to that as well, I mean, I think, Taylor, you do something that was very special in both last session and this session. And that is when a lot of players are in the situation where their characters are being tortured, they have the bravado, but they don't ever portray any of the fear. And I think you got the balance there really good, because, you know, if you're getting tortured, you would be terrified, and you did that brilliantly. Moment for Sigfried. I know mine, but I'm sure someone else is going to steal it, but go ahead.
The scream.
The scream. Oh, Jeff.
So good.
It's so good. So good.
It's the fucking best.
So Lloyd stole that from me.
Yeah,
but
it was so fucking good.
who wants to go next?
I love seeing the war that Siegfried has with himself, like wanting to leave, and then like being overcome by that kind of frenzy, and realizing what he's done, and then still going in anyways. Like, Siegfried just kind of tips the scale on both ends sometimes, which you don't always see because it's a very internal struggle. But I think Jeff nailed it tonight with that.
I'm going to go just a little bit before you, Taylor. I loved and hated Jeff's role play moment at the very beginning when he said, "See ya." I literally took a double take. I was like, did he really just like take off? And that was so great that he did that. I thought that was awesome. That was right in line with how when we were in the hospital, you did the same thing. You ducked out and ran into the stairwell. I thought it was great.
Yeah, you stole that from me as well. Overall, Jeff, just excellent. And again, something that a lot of players don't do, which is run away. You know, terrifying circumstances when really you're a normal person that's been a vampire for like a few nights, approaching a week, I think it is now. But just great, absolutely great. Donncha, who wants to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was that tipping point into the frenzy, especially of like we've seen Donncha kind of embrace like, no, I'm gonna be the beast, I'm gonna be the monster, and I think like he was saying a little bit earlier for his learning thing, like thinking like, yes, that's the right path to go down, and then seeing him like slowly go from this like in control, mega badass to like the edge, the floor drops out, and suddenly he's out of control completely. And like seeing that description kind of change from like this methodical, like calculative, but still monstrous to just a complete rabid animal, essentially. Like seeing him for once be out of control rather than in control, which is very much what he's been most of the time.
I loved that Donncha, he's this calculating survivor, right? And against like, I'm sorry, incredibly uneven odds, he freaking comes out on top. Now, yeah, okay, he kind of lost his control, but man, that was so great, Lloyd. I was just mesmerized listening to you role play out how Donncha was in that hallway with those 10 special forces Winchester, not just the scrubs, the special forces one, and how you just role played out how Donncha was going to survive that encounter. That was great because that's who he is. He's a survivor.
I really like kind of what Jeff talked about, the descent, because at the beginning he's like, okay, well, let's take out the computers and let's think very logical. And I thought that, that was brilliant to get the power, make sure they can't get it back up. And then just by the end, it's all instinct and it's just rage. And I think, Lloyd, you did a really good job with not overthinking, because I know you're a very tactical player. I think you did a good job letting that take a back seat and just being like, yep, fuck it, let's just attack everything.
I'll say the bit about achieving this wanting to be a monster and the wanting that power and then realizing, oh my god, that power is a horrible thing that makes you feel dreadful. Any shred of humanity in you will make you feel just revolted at what you've done. And I think we saw a lot of that from all of you tonight. And finally, role playing for Toff.
Contract.
Yep.
Damn it.
Bloody
Yep.
hell. The contract. Like all of us shouting in the chat, no, no, no. But you know that Toff is, for the reasons we don't fully understand, very loyal and very determined to see this task through and to rescue these stupid newbie vampires who were in way over their heads, and that he was going to do whatever it took. And I knew he was going to do it. I was still yelling in the chat, but that was great. It fit Toff perfectly. And not reading it.
I really like the bit where he was like, "Hey Siegfried, look at me, look at me." He was like trying to snap Siegfried out of his frenzy and his like despair and all that sort of stuff. It was like a rare moment where Toff was like a person as opposed to like a persona. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was gonna be the second one that I was gonna say. Yeah, so those two are definitely my first ones of like the contract and then like him being an actual person as Siegfried. But even outside of that, like seeing him like try to be after that, once he kind of got Siegfried and they were actually going into the base, seeing like tactical Toff, where normally he would just be like, all right, let's just go in, start smashing. Like, I'll smash down the wall, we'll go in and start smashing faces. But to see him kind of be like, no, this is important. We know Tess is down there. We know Donncha is in there somewhere. We need to take this slow and smart, and we need to approach this like in an intelligent way rather than a rash way. I think was kind of a big change of character where the contract was like that's so tough. We also got to see him kind of temper that with the understanding of once we're actually there near Tess, how important it is to make sure that we do it right the first time and seeing that change.
Absolutely. And finally, I'm just going to say thank you to you, Lionel, because through your role playing, I knew that you were going to go. And that meant that Mr. Gisborne also knew you were going to go. So it just helped the scene along. And it also was just really cool. He's like, you're going, aren't you? Which I really enjoyed. And finally, I would like to say this is something that I'm going to introduce to this game. For those of you that watch this, that watch all the way to the end and watch us talk about the role-playing moments, if there was something significant in the session that you liked, put it in the comments. And for the really good ones, I'm going to implement changes and things in the game. Little rewards for the players for doing good in it and you guys liking what they do in the session. So let me know in the comments. This was really fun. This was an exhausting one because it was jumping back and forth throughout lots of combat and lots of insane stuff. So well done, players, for keeping focused and for keeping your turns amazing at every turn. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this, give it a like. If you'd like to see more like this, and give me a subscribe or not, we're all friends here, or are we? Take it easy, and I hope that all of your performances are up to standard.